A chance encounter. You want to know how I met him? Well, it wasn't exactly planned. These things rarely are when magic is involved. At least the kind of magic that doesn't come from spells. It was Tuesday afternoon, and I was exhausted. 3 clients back to back, each wanting something more complicated than the last. A business executive seeking a charm for persuasive negotiations, which I tactfully redirected to confidence enhancement. A mother desperate for a remedy for her colicky infant, and an elderly man convinced his neighbor was cursing his garden. By the time I locked up my shop, all I wanted was to get home and soak in a bath infused with lavender and moonstone. I rarely take the bus. Usually I walk, connection to the earth and all that. But the rain had started, and not the gentle kind that cleanses. It was the type that soaks through your clothes in seconds. The kind my grandmother would say carries lost spirits looking for shelter. So I ducked into the number 42, fumbling for my transit card, hair plastered to my face, feeling decidedly unsorceress-like. That's when I saw him. He sat halfway down the aisle, face turned toward the rain-streaked window. Even in profile, there was something about him that snagged my attention like a loose thread catching on rough wood. He wasn't conventionally handsome, not in that hollow magazine way. His beauty was deeper, in the thoughtful set of his mouth, the gentle slope of his shoulders beneath a worn leather jacket. His fingers tapped a silent rhythm against his knee, and I found myself wondering what music played in his head. I chose a seat diagonally across from him, pretending to check my phone while stealing glances. Something about him felt familiar. Not like I'd met him before, but like I'd dreamed him. That strange déjà vu sensation that sometimes precedes important moments in a witch's life. My grandmother called it recognition. When your soul encounters something it knows from before. 3 stops later, he still hadn't looked my way. I debated small magic, a whispered word to send a gentle breeze his direction carrying the scent of cardamom and vanilla that clung to my skin. But something held me back. This felt important enough to let unfold naturally. Then the bus lurched to a stop, and he stood, gathering a weathered messenger bag. My heart stuttered. He was leaving, this stranger who had stirred something forgotten in me. Before I could second-guess myself, I was on my feet, pulling the stop cord. This isn't like you, I whispered to myself as I followed him into the rain. Rebecca Denise Adeyemi, respected sorceress, practically stalking a man off a bus like a lovesick teenager. But my feet kept moving, drawn forward by something stronger than embarrassment. He walked briskly, unaware of my presence several yards behind. The rain had eased to a drizzle, and evening light broke through the clouds, casting everything in honey gold. He turned down a quieter street lined with small shops. A bookstore, a cafe, an antique dealer with crystals displayed in the window. That's when he stopped abruptly, causing me to nearly collide with a street sign in my effort to appear casual. He went into the cafe, and through the window, I watched him greet the barista with obvious familiarity. My courage wavered. What was I doing? Following a stranger because of a feeling? But my grandmother's voice echoed in my memory. Magic isn't always spells and potions, Rebecca. Sometimes it's having the courage to follow the pull of your spirit. I squared my shoulders, pushed wet hair from my face, and entered the cafe. The warmth and aroma of freshly ground coffee enveloped me. He stood at the counter, his back to me. Taking a deep breath, I moved forward and stood beside him, pretending to study the menu while my heart hammered against my ribs. "The lavender honey latte is excellent," he said suddenly, his voice rich and warm, with a hint of an accent I couldn't place. I turned, meeting his eyes for the first time. Deep brown with flecks of amber, crinkled slightly at the corners as he smiled. "How did you know I was considering that?" I asked, genuinely surprised. He laughed softly. I didn't. It's just what I always recommend to people who look like they've had a long day and followed someone off a bus in the rain. Heat rushed to my face. You noticed. I notice most things. His smile widened. Especially beautiful women with fascinating auras who try very hard to appear casual while stealing glances. My mouth fell open slightly. You can see auras. He tilted his head, studying me with new interest. And you're not surprised by the concept, just that I can see them. Interesting. The barista cleared her throat, looking amused. Your usual calm? And for your friend? The lavender honey latte, I said, finding my voice. Please. We moved to the end of the counter to wait for our drinks. I'm Rebecca, I offered, extending my hand. Kamari, he replied, taking it. The moment our fingers touched, a spark of energy passed between us. Not static electricity, but something deeper, a recognition. From his slight intake of breath, I knew he felt it too. You're not just someone who believes in auras, he said quietly. You're a practitioner. I nodded slowly. And you're not just someone who sees them. Our drinks arrived, and he gestured toward a small table by the window. I have a feeling we have a lot to talk about, Rebecca. As we sat, rain tapping gently against the glass beside us, I realized the pull I'd felt wasn't just attraction, though that was certainly part of it. It was recognition of kindred energy, someone whose magic complemented my own. So, Kamari said, his eyes twinkling with humor and something else, something older and wiser than his apparent years. Do you make a habit of following strangers off buses, or should I feel special? I laughed, relaxing for the first time since I'd spotted him. Definitely a first for me. I'm usually much more dignified, he supplied. I was going to say cautious, but yes, dignified works too. Well, I'm glad you decided to be undignified today. He took a sip of his coffee, plain black, I noticed. Though next time you could just say hello on the bus. Less dramatic, but equally effective. Next time, I repeated, warming to the phrase and its implications. We talked until the cafe closed, about everything and nothing, our practices. His family tradition was different from mine, but complementary. Our favorite places in the city, books we'd read, and music that moved us. When we finally stepped outside, the rain had stopped completely, and stars punctuated the clear night sky. Can I walk you home? He asked. I'd like that, I replied, feeling none of the wariness I usually maintained around strangers. There are some souls that have walked alongside yours before, my grandmother would say. When you meet them again, trust that recognition. So that's how it began, with a bus ride, a moment of uncharacteristic impulsivity, and the courage to follow not just him, but the pull of something greater than myself. Magic works in strange ways sometimes, doesn't it? The most powerful spells are often the ones we don't cast ourselves.